Hello guys and welcome back to this new lesson of the Italian course. This lesson is going to be shorter, but it's going to be very important because today we're going to be covering the noun. It's a very important aspect of the language because first of all it's the thing that comes right after the article, and Italians always use the articles. I mean, you would never see a case in which an Italian guy wouldn't use an article. It's impressive. And then the noun in general, it's always present in a sentence, so we need to cover it. So let's get right into it. The first thing we're going to be covering is the plural form of the masculine and feminine gender. So basically in Italian there are only two genders, the masculine one and the feminine one, because in English, for example, there's the masculine, feminine and neuter cases, but in Italian this doesn't happen. The neuter case has faded during the course of the years because there was in Latin, and the Italian is a language that is very similar to Latin, but it changed during the course of the years. So now we're gonna be covering how to form the plural form for the masculine and feminine gender. So in this case we have gatto, which means cat. It's the masculine cat. So in this case, if we have a masculine word, the last letter of the word is going to change to I instead of O. So in this case, gatto will become gatti. Simple as that. While for the feminine case, we are going to take gatta, which is the feminine cat. Instead of the A at the end, that is here, I'm gonna show it to you. Instead of this A, we're gonna be adding the E. So let's write it down. From gatta, it becomes gatte. And this is the basic rule. There are some exceptions to it, but we're gonna be covering them later on this lesson. Although there are the masculine and the feminine word of the words. For example, if we just cover the gatto and gatta, there are also some words that only have the masculine or the feminine form. For example, the word, let me think about it, libro. The word libro, book, which means book, only has the masculine form. There is not a feminine one. There's not like libra. It doesn't exist. I can give you another example, which is sedia. Sedia means the chair, and it only exists the feminine form of the word. There is only that. So yeah, in Italian there are not only words that end with the letter O or A. There are also other words that end, for example, with the letter E. In this case, how can we say if the word is actually a masculine or a feminine word? We can see that on a dictionary, or we can just look at the article that comes right before it. In the previous lesson we've covered before, we said that there are the masculine and the feminine articles, and that can tell if a word is either masculine or feminine if it ends with the letter E, for example. We are going to cover a word. I'm gonna give you an example here. If you remember from the previous lesson, law is used with the masculine singular forms of the words. So in this case, we can say that stivale is a masculine word. And stivale means boots, by the way. All of the words ending with the letter E, the plural will be with the letter I. So lo stivale will change to gli stivali. Just like that. You can see the difference. We've said that in this language there are a lot of exceptions, and now we're going to be covering some of them. For example, the words that end with the CIA cluster, cha. Let me give you an example so you understand what I'm talking about. In this case, goccia. This word ends with the cluster CIA, just like the United States intelligence agency. In this case, the word goccia ends in ce. It changes, it's irregular, so instead of writing goccia, we need to write gocce. And it will change like this. That's how it works. So instead of CIA, it changes to CE. like this. The words that end with the ko and ka cluster, for example, the word forca ends with this cluster. And these words actually need to maintain this sound, the ka, this strong sound we can hear while we pronounce the word. So if we want to keep that, we need to change some letters, because if we said forke with the C plus E, let me show you. If we said, if we've written this like in this form, it would be force. So the strong sound we've just covered, forca, wouldn't stay there. So in order to maintain that, so let's take this case off. In order to maintain this sound, we need to add the letter H. So the plural form will be like this, forche, with this cluster of letters. There you go. Another irregular case we're going to be talking about now is similar to the gotcha case. So if we have words that end with the cluster G-I-A, for example, spiaggia, which means shore, seashore. This cluster, in this cluster, the I goes away and it becomes spiagge. There you go. So again, it was goccia, gocce, spiaggia, spiagge. It's similar. Another irregularity, similar again to another one of the cases we've seen before, is with the cluster G plus O, go and ga. We need to skip that strong sound, so in this case we're still going to add that H instead of the word. Let me give you an example. The word ago, as you can see, there is this cluster, and instead of writing it like this would be pronounced as agi in Italian, so it's wrong. Instead, we're gonna be writing agi. Just like that. Another irregularity is when a word finishes with the I-O cluster. For example, microscopio. Microscopio, it's the microscope you think you use in the laboratory to analyze, to see the cells and that kind of stuff. Instead of, in order to form the plural form, we need to take away the O, and we're done. We have the plural form, microscopio. But in other cases, such as zio, which means uncle, there is still the cluster, but writing something like this is wrong. So instead of writing something like this, you need to add another E to the word. So it becomes Z, and this is correct. In Italian, there are a lot of words of Greek origin. During the Italian history, especially the southern Italy has been under the influence of the Greek population. So there are a lot of words that are from Greek origin, and the Greek origin words that end with ta and ma. For example, dentista, which is dentist. It's very similar. Or diploma, which is degree, change their ending with an I, so it becomes from dentista, becomes dentisti, and diploma becomes diplomi. The letters that end with the letter O, for example, topo, which means mouse, end with the letter E. So from topo it becomes topi. Simple as that. The words that are monosyllabic, so that they only have one syllable, don't change plural. For example, il re, which means the king, doesn't change the plural. So it will be like ire. and the words that are stressed on the final syllable. For example, the word caffè, there's a symbol in Italian called accento, and when this symbol is placed on a vowel, it basically strengthens the sound of it. So we don't read caffè, we read caffè. It's like that. And these words don't change the plural form. So from caffè, it will be I caffè. Thank you for joining us in this lesson. It was kind of short, but we've covered a lot of things. And I hope it helped you. I hope everything makes sense. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments. I have nothing to do all day, so I'll be answering you. No, I'm just kidding. And thank you for joining us today. My name was Luke from Wordopolitan. And thanks for watching. See you next time.